Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to the Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. Today is July 17th. Adam Frazier has been traded to the Royals for Cam Devanney. Sometimes our talking points seem to take care of themselves, am I right?
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hold your applause, hold your thoughts. Obviously, we like our sounds and all that stuff. And before too long, you're going to be telling me that you've heard enough. So all of that good stuff. But anyway, I know the initial thought is bad, right? Adam Frazier traded away, some guy nobody's ever heard of coming back. They brought in a 28-year-old quad A player, and you're upset about it. That's fine. Maybe you've looked into it a little bit and you actually don't hate it. I don't know. But I think it's worth it to take a step back and look at this thing from the whole thing. So let's talk about Cam. Let's talk about his path to this trade so far. He was drafted in 2019. Drafted by the Brewers. So we're starting with those guys who were drafted right before COVID. He was a college bat at that, meaning that the age is already working against him. 2019, he played 61 games after being drafted in rookie ball. So that's not actually too bad. Some guys don't quite get that much. 61 games after being drafted. Then 2020, obviously, completely lost season. That's his age 23 season. He turned 23 that April. And did not get to play any games for the whole season. That's usually for a 23-year-old getting out of rookie ball. That's maybe starting in high A, right? And moving your way into double A. And he didn't get that season. And so the next season comes along, 2021. He begins his second pro ball season. And really, when you talk about low A, high A, double A, triple A, those are the four levels that exist in today's game. He begins his career in double A, essentially, outside of rookie ball, in Biloxi, having missed a whole season. And it went about as bad as you could expect it. It was a bad year. So he starts the year 2022 in Biloxi again, now already 25 years old that April, guys. A make or break season for someone in their mid-20s, but understandable for most of us, because we understand why he's there and why it's this situation, right? He plays 115 games in Double A in 2022. He had 20 home runs. He had an .822 OPS. He gets bumped to Triple A for his last 13 games of the season, had 3 more homers, and he ends up being named a Brewers 2022 Organizational All-Star. So in your make or break year, you show up. Granted, you're now 25. This is the progression. If you don't think of the age and you just think of the fact that this is really his second year in pro ball, being able to move up to AAA after your second year is actually pretty good, especially when you're a college bat, right? So you should move that fast. If you're a high school bat, you're never moving that fast, but you should be moving that fast if you're a college bat. But now he's 25 years old. 2023 comes around, and he only plays in 103 games. He was on the injured list for a while. All of those games in AAA, as expected. He turned 26 in the season, so that makes sense. And so he kind of dealt with some injuries. He still posts an .824 OPS, which is pretty good. He gets 11 home runs and has 27 doubles in what was a season that, had a couple trips to the IL. I think a couple. At the end of the 2023 season, so remember, 2022 Organizational All-Star, 20 home runs, and then some injuries, but still seemed to perform pretty well. At the end of the 2023 season, the Brewers traded him to the Royals, along with another with a right-handed pitcher from the minors, for Major League reliever Taylor Clark. So he's traded for a Major League player, but it's a reliever. He's aging, right? He's getting there. 2024, he turns 27 years old in April. We're now at the point where it's like, dude, you got to play your way into this thing, or we don't know what we're going to do. He's stuck behind Bobby Witt Jr. playing shortstop in Omaha. And he played 136 games. He hit 19 home runs, 27 doubles, OPS down to like a 781. So for 19 homers and 27 doubles, you'd like to see that. The on base, not quite there. Just not enough to force his way onto the team and playing anything. And then this year turns 28 and started in April. He turned 28 this April, started in AAA. He's played in 69 games so far. He has 18 home runs and 14 doubles, a 931 OPS, and forced his way on into the conversation for the first time. If you just look at years, you can see where like, okay, setback, and then now learned from the setback and went forward. Second organization. Now the Royals select his contract and call him up on July 8th. Actually, when the Pirates were in Kansas City. Kind of makes you wonder if this was kind of in the works back then, right? The Royals were trying to make it a little bit easier to make it happen or something. I don't know. He didn't get in either game against the Pirates. He didn't get in any of the 3 games against the Mets before the All-Star break. But it seemed to be, if you look through the transactions and so on, they placed Mark Canha on the IL on July 8th. They moved Cole Reagans to the 60-day to make room for Cam. And so it was kind of like, I mean, Cole was heading there anyway. So it seemed like they just made an opportunity for this guy and maybe rewarding him for what he was doing because he was performing really well. But maybe not so much in the plans of we're going to get him into the game all the time. And then there's the All-Star break. So now let's flip the page a little bit. The Pirates are sending Adam Frazier to the Royals. I mean, we've talked about trades a little bit. We've really cracked the iceberg here, and we're going to go in a little bit more on that. But the first comment that I thought Frazier was with us for this year because there was no trade value. I just thought he was going to be here. KC is familiar with him. He played there last year. He offers something in a major league veteran, maybe to take some at-bats in the outfield. I don't know. He can bounce around, though. He had so far this season, 0.4 WAR, baseball reference WAR, and an 83 OPS plus. He's a well below average hitter. He did have 3 defensive runs saved at second base, but he had -2 in the outfield in his time out there. He had a really big hot streak with the not a long, but a big hot streak this season with the Pirates, and then it kind of fell apart, and he really hasn't been playing all that much lately. Last year with the Royals, he was even worse, 64 OPS plus, 0.3 WAR in 104 games. They used him at first base in his only major league inning there, so maybe there's something there. I don't know. Despite being really that bad for the Royals, just last year they felt like going after him again to help the team. The Royals are not out of it, but they've struggled. They are not scoring runs. This guy doesn't seem to be in Adam Frazier doesn't seem to be the guy to put them over the edge to score a bunch of runs. Maybe Cam Devanney would actually done better in this situation. So to that, I say go for it. Frazier was not going to help the Pirates do anything this year, right? He's well liked. We like the way he plays, but are we really interested in seeing him play out a below average season or give an opportunity to somebody else to play? This team has questions that they need to answer, and they need them answered fast. And this is a team who's not pushing for the playoffs. So get some questions answered. That's usually how this goes, right? There'll be another move. There'll be another move to make. Devanney's already been optioned to Indianapolis. Jared Triolo was sent down on the 10th. I have it in my notes here. So we're stacked in the outfield right now when you look at the roster. Cruz, Reynolds, Pham, Sawinski, Canario, plus if you want to consider Kutch. And the infielders are listed as 4. Horwitz, Nicky G, IKF, and Hayes, which are the 4 starters. And none of those guys in the outfield really could play infield. I mean, obviously Cruz played short not too long ago, but I don't think they want to go there. So an infielder is going to need to be called up immediately in this deal. They need a player called up. We're going to hear about it. It's probably going to be at some point in the morning. Somebody's going to say, so-and-so has a locker here. and then it'll be announced that he's been called up. So looking at the 40-man, who could be called up, right? Let's go through the list. Sung-Chae Chang, unlikely. Liover Peguero, very possible. Nick York, another leading candidate. Ronnie Simon, interesting, right? Despite playing most of his games in left field with Indy, he's also played 11 games at second base and spent the majority of his career at second base. So Simon, who, like most of us, you watch him, he's played outfield, is very much an opportunity. He's also played 60-plus games at third base, 80-plus at short in the minors. Corner, outfield, all three infield position makes him versatile, to say the least. Obviously, save first base, but second, short, third, he's played them all. Not to mention, since coming to Indy, Ronnie Simon has an .863 OPS and has knocked in 6 home runs in 30 games. So if you had my pick, it would be Simon or it would be Nick York, who we've talked about several times on this show, whether it's me or me and Jake, we've talked about Nick York. And so I think that he also could be an option here. So let's talk about the implications, the bigger picture kind of stuff. Let's get through some of that. It's all semantics in a way. What about this player is interesting? Well, he's not a 33-year-old who's gone after this season, for one. He also has the ability to hit the ball over the fence, for two. By the way, the 33-year-old I'm talking about is Adam Frazier. I think most importantly, IKF is another one of those players who we've talked about who's likely to be moved. And so we've had conversations around IKF too. Who plays short? Maybe you extend IKF. Maybe you keep him around. If you don't know who's going to play short, that seems to make sense. Well, now you've acquired a guy in the Adam Frazier trade who can play short. You also have Liover Peguero, Nick Gonzalez, Sung-Chae Chang, who, by the way, is hitting .218 with 1 homer in AAA this season. That's a .618 OPS. I mean, maybe it's him, but guys, options are good at this point so that we're not just here with that. But let's continue to talk about some of these guys. So Triolo being optioned on the 11th. That's what it was, the 11th. When you're optioned, you have to spend 10 days in AAA before you're eligible to be recalled unless there's an injury. So after the White Sox series, he could come up. But if they're truly going to work on his swing, it doesn't get fixed that fast. That's not how things work. As I said, Devanney was also optioned today, so he can't even be called up unless there's an injury until July 26th. So he's not an option right now to be this utility infielder that this team needs on the roster right now. I think this gives Liover Peguero some competition. Peggy's only 24, but he's out of options after this year. As much as I'd like to see him, they could go through the motions with him. He got a small cup of coffee this year, but so far in AAA, he is hitting 685 OPS plus, or an OPS, 685 OPS, 312 on base. He's played every infield position. He's also played like 8 games in center field. So kind of interesting that they're saying like, hey, if we got to call you up, you're going to have to be versatile. There's not anyone who can say that Cam Devanney is worse than Liover Peguero solely based on the fact that he's 28 years old and Peggy's 24. Like, that's not how things work, right? And when you're talking about who can play shortstop after IKF is gone, I think competition could be a good thing. And keep in mind, despite the ages, Peguero needs to be a decision on him. He's out of options. Cam Devanney now is going to have 3 option years, which is wild because he's 28 years old, but he's going to have 3 option years. A lot easier to hold on to a guy like that. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just who they were willing to part with, and he has controllable years and a possible slug. So take a waiver on him. It's not at all a bad thing to do something like this. And I don't disagree with that. Even IKF himself has an 84 OPS plus this season. So if Cam does play for him, then he needs better defense. We know that we need better defense at short. And that sounds like that will be a part of this guy's game and that will be taken care of. And he needs to be a below average hitter who gets on base around 318. And that's a replacement level player for IKF. It's kind of written for you, right? I haven't shared through all of this, right? We've talked a lot about the guys and everybody who's here. And of course,
at no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I haven't really shared many opinions to this point about the actual thoughts. I've mostly just been sharing probable situations, some facts about it, and so on. So my thoughts are pretty simple. There are not many, right? I like Frazier, but this is not a big deal. It lines up with the ho-hum stuff that they're going to be doing. They're going to make moves. There are guys whose contracts expire at the end of the year. They're going to have to move on from them. This just sort of makes sense. It makes sense because it protects them at shortstop for 2025 if IKF is moved as well, because he is one of those players. Or technically, if Hayes is moved and IKF stays and he goes to third, that's also a possibility. Like, listen, we can make up scenarios where this could make sense. And I think that's the thing, is that he does provide some sort of option to still be able to move these guys with expiring contracts or not, or guys in with big, long contracts like Mitch Keller and Ke'Bryan Hayes. It's hard to tell what they're going to end up doing. But it's not, what's the line? You don't have to squint to see this guy could be a major league replacement level player for a while. You know what I'm saying? That's, oh boy. Oh,
that doesn't mean what he thinks it means.
I don't think that we need to be going down that path right now. All right. So listen, I think we've beat this one about as much as we need to until the next one is made. Let me know your thoughts on this deal, or if you also are just in the camp where you're saying like, yeah, maybe it's a short-term thing, but it's not a low A lottery ticket destined for the double A bullpen in 3 years, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. What do you think about it? What do you think this tells you about anything else they're going to move? My opinion, I would say nothing, but you guys are also smart. So let me know in the comments on YouTube what you think that if this has any weight on the 2025 season beyond that, or any indication of anything else they might be doing. We'd love to hear the comments from you guys and share them. So continue to do that. The thing is, don't get underwhelmed with every move just because you're already mad at this season. I get it. We're all mad at this season. But you can't roll this thing into 2026 looking the same as they do now. You just can't do it. Tomorrow's Friday, guys, and you have one more day to get through the week. And tomorrow, there's baseball games. Is this the time when you say,
Enough! Do you want my head to explode?
I'm not sure if games that count, baseball games that count, does it for you or not, but they are going to be played tomorrow night. And that's a good thing for me, because obviously I could hit every one of my sounds on here, because after the break, the game starts.
Because those are the rules of Sticky McSnickens. That's why.
That's why. Have a great day, guys. Tell someone you appreciate them today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's go, Bucks.
Thanks for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Subscribing to your platform of choice is the best way to be notified for new episodes. And now, new episodes every weekday. Remember, live shows with my dad and Uncle Jake are Sundays at 9 p.m. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and join them in the live chat every Sunday. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2 Buctober. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.